Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm here for my June wrap-up. June was kind of a slow month, not as much outside of what Telltale is doing that I can talk about this time, but there's a couple things. Starting with, of course, news in the literature, which the thing that's been dominating news reports coming in is AI, and I'm never seeing anything positive about it. You know, it's all kinds of very negative things. I still have hope that this thing can become a tool that people can use in good ways, in positive ways, in powerful ways, and maybe even in ways that enhance creativity and take us to the next level. But at this time, I'm not seeing it. At this time, I'm seeing a lot of bad reports, mostly coming from the long-term issue of a lot of the AI programs having been trained on copyrighted material, and the owners were not paid for it. The latest news in that arena has been that Disney has now stepped up to sue Midjourney AI for copyright infringement of its properties. And this is a big news item because along with Disney usually comes deep pockets, lots of high-powered lawyers, and a company that is very serious about taking down anyone who messes with their properties. You know, if there's any of the people that have been affected by AI that can afford to just look the other way, it would be Disney. But if there's anybody that has a history of not ever looking the other way, it's Disney. And I don't know if the outcome of such a lawsuit is going to have any effect on smaller artists and smaller companies that are being affected. It could be that Disney takes an out-of-court settlement and walks away with a lot of money, maybe puts some companies out of business, and the rest of us artists are left with, wait a minute, what happens to me? Or it could mean that there will be a big turnaround and maybe even some serious government intervention in AI, which will pull it into line and force these companies to follow the law. You know, they have an attitude of, well, we already did it, so it doesn't matter if it's illegal because it's done. Sorry, but that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it legal. And it, you know, we can't just stand by and allow these companies to crap all over people who are not big corporations like Disney. We got to have some control over that. And Emily and I have filmed a couple of videos, topic videos, that we're going to release during the month of July. One on the topic of AI and art, and the other one which relates to it on the topic of appropriation in general and using somebody else's image in your art or somebody else's words in your story or something. We got those videos coming up. I hope you'll look for that, and I hope we will generate a lively discussion on this. I want to hear what people think. So that's really all I got for news relating to books for the month of June. New books that have been put for pre-sale in June. One is a Subterranean Press limited edition of Adrian Tchaikovsky's recent Alien Clay, which looks to be a really nice book. I'm not going to get it because I already got the mass market edition of that book. I can't justify the expense of spending more money on the same book right now. Even if I would have known that Subterranean Press was coming out with it, I probably would have held off, but I didn't, and too late now. So I don't want to be stuck with one copy that I have to try and sell. I got way too much of that already. And by the way, we have an Etsy store and a Pango bookstore, which is where I put books like that I no longer need in my library, and put them up for sale. And they're reasonable prices and very well cared for, the ones that are coming from my personal collection. The other one that just went up for pre-order from Suntop, and this is really exciting because I was not expecting this one. Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang, the Hugo Award-winning novel. I think it's Hugo and Nebula Award-winning novel that Kate Wilhelm published in the late 1970s. I tried reading it back then. I think I was too young and dumb and didn't get it. So I didn't finish reading it. And I've been wanting to go back and reread it. And now Suntop is coming out with its edition of it, which looks to be really beautiful. It's a special edition. It's pricey at $150 a piece for the basic artist special edition. And prices go up there for the numbered and lettered. Go up from there. But I like Suntop books. They're really, really well done. And so I get the one I can afford, barely at this point. But I still, when they come out with a title that I really want in my collection, I get it. I don't buy every book of theirs, but when they come up with one that I really, really want to add to my collection, I do pre-order them. It's supposed to be shipping sometime in 2026, so with Suntop you typically do wait at least a year for their books. I've got some others on pre-order that I haven't received yet that are supposed to come out later this year, but they are awesome books. And if you haven't gone and gotten your copy of Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang, I suggest you do so. I'm hearing the sales are a little slower than usual, and that's because it's not a well-known title anymore, but it should be. And I did see a couple of booktubers read it and review it fairly recently, and had really great things to say about it. You need to pay attention to this. This is one of those books that Telltale always looks for. These books that are really, really excellent books, but they've been around a while and nobody is remembering them anymore. And they should be remembered because they're really, really excellent books. This falls into that category. So I'm really happy to see publishers that are already publishing stuff doing what I want to do and bringing these books out, because it's the reason I'm here, is I want to see these books be put into print in some beautiful editions, and Suntop did it with Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang. So go on and pre-order that. It's worth it. They don't publish a huge number of books per year. It's worth it to get, even if you only buy half the titles they come out with and don't really care for the other half. It's worth it to do it because you'll have some amazing books for your collection, and books that will be a deep pleasure to read and enjoy. And that's what it's about. That's what this should be about, reading and enjoying. So I'm not sure what other mass market new books are coming out. Adrian Tchaikovsky did release a new one, but I believe I talked about that in the last video. And I know there are other books coming out, but they're not ones that have really fired my interest much. So I am not talking about those here. So then into Telltale Books News. As I said, we've got 2 topics videos coming, and we did topics videos to try and lighten the load for reading when we were going to read the Decameron. And then we end up ditching the Decameron, which is fine. I had time to get into some Isaac Asimov's science fiction magazine issues, and so I got those coming up in July. I've got What Moves the Dead, which was a finalist, and didn't it win one of them? Did it win the Nebula? I can't remember. I think it won the Nebula. One of the T. Kingfisher books won the Nebula this year. Won a Nebula award this year. I can't remember if it was What Moves the Dead or not, but What Moves the Dead is a finalist for the Hugo. I won in the novella category, and I read the first book in the Sworn Soldier series. Emily and I just did a video on that one. I want to read the second one. I'm anticipating I won't like it any more than the first one, but I want to read it and find out. Maybe I will like it a lot. In my Stephen King series, I'm up to Stephen King's 50th published work, which is The Gunslinger, the first short story to start off the entire Dark Tower series. And I did a video on that one that's coming up very soon, but in preparation for it, because it was inspired by a poem by Robert Browning titled Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came. And so I wanted to read that poem, and I went and I read that poem and actually did a reading of the poem, not a review of the poem. So that's going to be up same day as The Gunslinger. But Childe Roland is drawing upon the Song of Roland, which is a French epic poem. Originally, the version I read was a prose translation of it. I found it to be very good, really good. And so I discussed that first, and then I have the Childe Roland poem, and then will come The Gunslinger. And so this starts my journey through the Dark Tower. Gradually, I'm going to, the other stories that were published in between, I'll be reading those, and that brings me to the story published immediately, like 1 month after The Gunslinger, The Stand. Now, I'm going to need some time for that, so I've got that tentatively scheduled for September, and I think Emily's going to join me for that, so the two of us will talk about that huge book. But that's another one like the Decameron, where we need a lot of time to read it and go through it and cover it properly. So I've got The Stand coming up by Stephen King. Lots more Francis Stevens, The Citadel of Terror, some short stories, some other stuff by Francis Stevens coming up in the next 2 months. And Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I already read it with the Blackheart Books book club, but I haven't done a video yet on it because Emily wants to read it and review it with me. So she's going to read it. We're going to do, it's actually going to be coming up in like August. We're going to do a video review of Annihilation. And what we're reading right now, though I have to admit, I've been having a hard time reading anything this week. I'm supposed to be reading When Women Were Dragons with Emily. This was her pick, and I'm feeling bad because I've had such a hard time just getting myself to sit down and concentrate on any reading for over a week now. So I haven't gotten through it, and I'm a little concerned I won't be able to finish it in time for us to do our videos, though I've got a couple weeks. But I've also got The Citadel of Fear to read, and What Moves the Dead. So I haven't given up, but I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I have to say, so far, tentatively, Emily has been loving it. For me, it's been dragging. It's been one that's just not captivating me. It's not a bad book. It's not bad writing. There's nothing I can point to that say this is bad about it. It's just not grabbing me, but it's grabbing Emily. So it'll be an interesting review, I think, if it continues like this, and assuming I finish it. So that's our wrap. That's all the major things that are going on right now. I've got a lot of little short stories, more Theater Surgeon, more Ray Bradbury, stuff like that coming up. of course, working through all the Frances Stevens. I'm ultimately working towards reading the July-August 1923 issue of Weird Tales, where Frances Stevens published her last published story. She didn't die right at that time. She lived into the 1940s, but she didn't write anymore after that. And what I've read, the reason is she was writing because it was the only way she could raise money while she was staying at home taking care of her sick mother. Once her mother died, she was able to go back to a regular job. And she did that and didn't do any more writing. Just sad. I've been so far, I haven't come across anything that I would call a top tale, but I've really been enjoying the work of Frances Stevens. It's good work. And I'm now starting the Citadel of Fear, which is, I'm learning this is the one they point to as the book where she invented dark fantasy. Now, I've kind of been arguing against that William Hope Hodgson wrote dark fantasy way back in the early 1900s. H.G. Wells wrote dark fantasy short stories in the 1890s. I don't think it's accurate to say that Frances Stevens invented dark fantasy. But I'm going to read the story and find out why people think that it should be pointed to as the beginning, or if they're just championing it because they want to champion women writers, make it look like women started everything. I don't know. I'm going to find out. So I hope you'll join me for all those, and come on back and watch all the exciting videos we have coming up, great reviews we have coming up, really excellent books. I mean, The Gunslinger and Annihilation and The Stand and Frances Stevens and award winners and Asimov Science Fiction Magazine. Finally, I'm getting into that. And I gotta say, with the magazines, I started out wanting to read the May-June issue of Asimov's, May-June 2025. And I came across the fact that there were 2 works in it that I need to read, that I feel like I need to read previous stories before I read them. So I decided to go back and read those earlier magazines, and then I found out those magazines had stories in that were parts of series that went back to even earlier issues of Asimov. And so I'm not just reading the story in question, I'm reading the full issues that those stories are appearing in. I've got the June 2004 issue coming up, like in a week. You'll be seeing those videos. I finished that issue. The next issue, the April-May 2012 issue, will be coming up starting July 20th. And that actually produces 4 different videos. 5 different videos, rather. And then I move on to the 2020 issue, 2022 issue that has a Lemuria 7 story in that is related to what's in the May-June 2025 issue, and got me started on this. But in the 2022 issue, there's a story that goes all the way back to a different Asimov's issue in 2004. So I'm going to be going back once again. I didn't realize that previously when I looked for what series stories were in there. I missed that one. And I just caught it looking over the 2022 issue and thought, oh crap, I gotta go all the way back to 2004. But I'm really enjoying this. It's a way for me, because if I stick to my guns and just stick with 1923 and reading through from there, I'm probably never gonna get to 2022, or 2004 for that matter. So this is a way for me to read some newer issues and justify doing it out of order of reading through all the science fiction magazines. So, and I'm enjoying the stories mostly. Lots of good stuff in these issues. The June 2004 issue in particular had 3 different award finalists in that one issue. So it's been really fun doing this, and I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna go back to that other 2004 issue and start that series and read that whole series. It's going to take me a little time, and so I probably won't get to the May-June 2025 issue until September or October, but I'm going to keep going and do this because I'm enjoying it, and that's what it's all about. This is a voyage that we individually plot the path through, and I've decided to take this side road alongside of the other roads I'm already going down. I'm going to take this side path to go through this and discover this, and discover a lot of great, more recent magazine fiction. I should get off. This is getting long. Thank you for watching, and I do hope you'll be seeing me through the whole summer and all the cool things I'm trying to do.